100% American made. And darn proud of it. The Charlie Kirk Show.
All right, welcome back to the Charlie Kirk Show. Again, welcome back. Long Thanksgiving weekend. So much news going on, and we're going to try and get to all of it. We also have some great guests this hour, so hang in right there. First, I'm going to tell you guys about our friends over at Refy. Private student loan debt in the U.S. totals about $300 billion, and $45 billion of that is labeled as distress, which means it's very likely that you guys, there's many people out in this audience that are struggling with this very situation or know somebody that is, or you're related to somebody that is. So if you have private student loans that you cannot make the monthly payment on, you need to call or reach out to Refy. And you can call them at 888-YREFI34 or log on to yrefy.com. And what they do is they help refinance distressed or defaulted private student loans that others won't even touch. They'll give you they'll guarantee an interest rate under 6%. They'll make sure that it's individually tailored to your situation so you can make that minimum payment. You can even skip a payment every 6 months up to 12 times without penalty. And most importantly, probably than anything, is these are good people. These are fantastic human beings. They're patriots. They support this show. They support Turning Point USA. They support our campus tour. So check them out if you find yourself in that situation. Please go there. We'll be right back with National Radio. All right, welcome back, everybody. Throw up image 149. This is ABC News. This is the fourth such story on this poor individual from Afghanistan that had such a hard time in this country that we can't figure out.
As investigators continue to delve into what may have motivated the suspect in the deadly National Guard shooting last week, a portrait of a life of increasing financial stress and a potential mental health crisis.
He shouted,
the system failed him.
Yeah, he shouted Allahu Akbar while he shot the National Guard.
The FBI just like flipping tables. What could have motivated this?
We can't figure this out. Twiddling their thumbs. I mean, this
disgusting.
Is just but by the way, this is a fourth such mainstream news media article about this shooter where they're painting in a sympathetic light.
Yeah. A mental health crisis.
And this is what they do with illegal immigrants.
If we gave all of the asylum seekers $300,000 in free mental health care, this might not have happened.
If there were no billionaires, then you know what?
It was inequality. Society is to blame for this.
Systemic oppression of this Afghan.
But we can't dump on the media too much because over the weekend, we can always dump on the media.
I was going to say.
I was very happy this happened over the weekend, and it shows you how bad it was. So we covered the Somali fraud story with Chris Rufo and
Ryan
Thorpe. Ryan Thorpe.
You have Ryan Thorpe. Yes.
We always have to make sure it was two guys.
No, it was both of them.
And so they covered all the feeding frenzy of fraud in the Somali community.
By the way,
in Minnesota.
that story blew up. We were early on it. We were early on it.
And they're frauding the autism program, the housing program,
and they're sending the money to al-Shabaab.
And some of it goes to al-Shabaab. But even if it doesn't, it's just absolutely, it's this cloistered ethnic community that is ripping off the rest of Minnesota.
Yep.
And so the New York Times, clearly, they had an article that came out this weekend, how fraud swamped Minnesota's social services system on Tim Walz's watch. And what's crazy about it is they just have to say it's members of the Somali diaspora. It's very clear the New York Times had this story and was sitting on it, and they had to sort of roll it out once this got covered. And the story, I don't need to read the whole thing, but it basically frankly says, yeah, it's over $1 billion, which if you run the numbers, and I did, it's about 80,000 Somalis in Minnesota. That's $12,500 per person in fraud if they got $1 billion out of this through Feeding Our Future, which was a COVID scam, through this housing program they were ripping off, through the autism program. And I suspect there's others too. It's just this clear case of any program that exists, we will find a way to commit fraud against it because we don't really consider it wrong to do as far as I can tell. And there was an amazing follow-up, which was the union for Minnesota's Department of Human Services. They just dropped a tweet. Absolutely, they just 100% blame, this has to be a left-wing union, and they just blame Tim Walz, and they say, Tim Walz is 100% responsible for massive fraud in Minnesota. We let Governor Walz know of fraud early on, hoping for a partnership in stopping it, but no, we got the opposite response. Tim Walz systematically retaliated against whistleblowers with monitoring, threats, repression, and he did his best to discredit fraud reports.
Yeah, so Tim Walz is actually
And they say this
retarded.
in the New York Times article as well. They say that they caught the fraud right away, and they just said, oh, well, we're going to accuse you of racism if you don't keep the money flowing. And that just 100% worked on Minnesota Democrats. And it also says, and this is important, this gets at the heart of everything, they didn't act because Somalis were seen as a core voting bloc for Minnesota Democrats.
Yeah.
So
And you saw that-
it's our
you-
votes. Don't stop the fraud.
Yeah, you saw that in the mayoral race, by the way.
Yes.
And by the way, so Trump is now blaming Joe Biden for this. He gets asked on Air Force One, I believe it was in Air Force One. Maybe it was actually in the Oval. I can't remember this. But I got this clip sent to me by at least 5 people over the weekend saying Trump is back. They love this side of Trump where he kind of just rips into reporters. Let's play 107.
Why do you blame the Biden administration?
Because they let him in. Are you stupid? Are you a stupid person? Because they came on a plane along with thousands of other people that shouldn't be here.
And I mean, it just kept going on and on and on. I mean, let's play 108. This is another good clip.
Do you blame all Afghans for this one man's not
No,
mistake?
but we've had a lot of problems with Afghans because they had a lot of them coming in on these planes. Again, I show you this picture. We had a lot of them coming in on these planes that are, look at them. There was no checking. They just poured into the plane. But they came in, yeah, I know, this the old story. Many are wonderful, yeah, I'm sure.
I said
You know, I really hope that it was 19 countries, including Afghanistan, Iran, Venezuela,
Sudan.
a lot in Africa. I really hope this holds up. I mean, what's crazy, I was looking at that. There's still 1,800 Afghans that are trying to bring into the U.S. They're sitting in Qatar right now, I believe.
Yeah. Well, and by the way, the news breaking on the Sunday shows is that Secretary Kristi Noem is going to move to deport even those with pending asylum claims. So the crackdown on this is huge. I want to hear your thoughts. Please email us, freedom@charliekirk.com. We're going to read them in the final segment of this hour. Do you like President Trump's tweet? It actually was a tweet. Well, it was an X post. So he did it right on Wednesday night, early Thursday morning. Do you like it? Freedom@charliekirk.com. Freedom@charliekirk.com. We're going to get to them. Next up, Nate Morris from Kentucky. We'll be right back.